Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Metal Gear Rising Revengeance on Revengeance difficulty, and this is my guide for the PC version of the aforementioned title. We're on file R-04, and our objective here is to dispatch these enemies who drop in on us. There's some cyborgs with dual katanas, and then there will be some rocket launcher foes, and then the second wave will be 4 of the raptors. And when they come, if you want to charge a pincer blade attack, it could be very helpful to possibly take them down to the point where you can start Zandatsuing them. So, also just watch as I parry these enemies' attacks. It already passed, but when enemies are in clusters and you get one parry, it can affect the others in the group and you can deal area damage and kill other people outright. So this took me quite a long time because I was rather stubborn, and as you can see, if you are familiar with this game, I don't have the nano paste equipped, so it was either die or succeed over here. And it got to be pretty frustrating, but you know, if you get on those raptors the second you dispatch that last cyborg with the Ripper mode, I mean, if you get on these guys with the Ripper mode, you should be okay there. And I don't understand how. I mean, I understand how this part works that's coming up, but I don't understand why they close off the main lobby that we were just fighting in. All of it's going to be closed off. There's more ammunition than you'll need over here. But for some reason, they have a barrier that's just beyond the stairs. So, do you see where the enemies are now, like where we're shooting at them? All of that area is sealed off, so you cannot go over there. There's going to be enemies with rocket launchers on the pillars. There's going to be enemies hanging from the slider enemies. And then you're going to have enemies charging at you. And there's also going to be a grad at the end, but he comes after Boris tells you to just head back to the elevator. But this is one of those situations where if you're doing a ranked run where you want to try to get the S rank, you have to stay and deal with the grad. But since that has no bearing on the guide that I'm making, once Boris tells us to go to the elevator, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So this is going to be a pretty long chapter. I think that this chapter is definitely my favorite chapter. When we get to the Japanese area, where there's it looks like kind of some set pieces out of Ninja Gaiden Sigma and Ninja Gaiden 2. I think that is my favorite part of the game, just because of the uniqueness of it and the way it reminds me of those games. And it's just, I don't know, something about it just, you know, we all have favorite parts in a game. These turrets can be destroyed. You're very vulnerable on them. So what you want to do is just periodically just get off and make sure that you're not getting rushed by enemies. Here's the barrier I spoke about. I don't know why they put a barrier here. One part of me suspects that it's to seal off that area because of the loading buffering issues. Another part of me thinks that the game just wants to have the battle he just wants to seclude the battlegrounds and have it primarily being fought here. I don't know what the reason is. I really don't. So, in the next part, we're going to have the mastiffs, and you'll see that if you've played hard, I can't speak for very hard because, like I mentioned, I put in the Konami code just to be able to play this difficulty, having already cleared hard mode. I would say that these enemies. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention. Did you see how I jump? So I can't put the footage anymore like back the way I had it. But what I want you to do, if you need help here on that first part, just rewind it and look from where I jumped from to. I think I jumped into the room right over there that I'm going into now. I jumped from the stair. I jumped over from the left. Just please rewind it. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that, and I was going to bring it up. But what happens is you have this mastiff like right where I am now, and he won't move. But if you jump from where this mastiff is right now into the room, right to the left, not directly left, but by the exit sign, then you'll put the trolling mastiff in a cautionary mode, and then he'll actually move so that you can dispatch these 2 mastiffs in the order I did it in. I'm sorry if that's complicated. So this is really confusing the way this works here. You're supposed to destroy 3 of the wall panels, and you want to do stealth on these 4 enemies, because if you get caught here, you're going to have to fight more raptors. You're going to have to fight raptors anyway, but it's best to fight them when you've neutralized all the other threats. So, I remember on hard there were 4 cyborgs here and no mastiffs. I would say, just because of the way the mastiffs leap from one room to the other, this is harder than just having cyborgs here who just slowly patrol the area. But it's not hard, you know, it's just a little bit harder. So I just fucked that up, didn't I? So now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go to the vending machines and get some electrolyte packs. So at this point, up until you... Let me see here. How many wall panels have I taken down? Okay, so what I've done is I've hit 1 wall panel. When you hit 2 wall panels, you're going to have one hammerhead foe stationary on one part of the map, wherever you didn't... on the wall panel nearest the one you didn't hit, he'll be standing there. He'll just materialize there. And I don't think you can stealth him, because he's got his back right to the wall. So what I'm doing now is I'm running around looking for items, and now I'm going to smash this panel here, and you'll notice that we have another blip on the radar. You should see it in a second. See that blip right there? If you destroy the other wall panel, then the hammerhead enemy will be in this room. So I almost thought I could stealth this guy, but it turned out that I couldn't. So what's going to happen is you want to dispatch this guy as quickly as possible, because the second he senses that you're here, see the other blip coming to us? That's another raptor. And you have no checkpoints here whatsoever, but this is the best way to control the situation and minimize having to fight a bunch of targets at once. Like, if you alerted the first set of the mastiffs, you would have 3 how many are there? There's 3 mastiffs to fight, 1 cyborg, and then you'd have to fight like two of these guys in addition to all the other enemies that I mentioned. So it highly will behoove you to do the stealth at the beginning, to kill those first 4 enemies secretly, surreptitiously I should say. So at this point I haven't destroyed the 3rd wall panel. Destroying the 3rd wall panel will put the other hammerhead by the elevator, and I'm going to look that up really quickly to make sure that I'm saying that. Pardon the opera. For the life of me, I can't find a bestiary anywhere. All I can find is one without pictures. So, are they called hammerheads? This is hammerhead. Oh, I've been saying it wrong. Hammerheads are the UG helicopter gunships. Then what the fuck are those guys? This guy. What is this guy? Cyborgs. I don't know what the fuck they are. See, that's why having a bestiary in a game is really gonna help people out know what they're fighting. Is he a ninja? Or a heavily armed cyborg? Heavily armed cyborgs are usually the hammer. Nice sentence. Heavily armored cyborgs are usually the hammer using cyborgs and other heavies. They didn't put a little dash between hammer and using, but still, that doesn't even make sense. Stupid IGN. So I was calling that enemy what the name of a gunship was. I'm really sorry about that. You see, if this game actually had a bestiary where everything was listed, I could just write everything down or take snapshots on my phone and then just pull those up while I'm speaking. So I'm gonna actually blame the game for that one. That's not my bad. So we're coming in here. I don't know if you have to take care of any of these for a ranked run, but like I said, we're not doing a ranked run. So you get a checkpoint over here. You'll have a grad coming. So basically, this is just for spectacle. I've had kind of a long day and I didn't get to do my exercises. I'm trying to do some cardiovascular exercises and I'm trying to do some push-ups, but nothing. There are no excuses for that. And then I'm trying to support my opera program by tuning in, and unfortunately the app of their radio station keeps crashing. So I've sent in a couple of reports to see if they'll fix it, but we'll have to see how it pans out, and I'll let you know in a future video. And yes, I know I probably should get copyright infringements for playing music, but you see, I want to listen to my program and I want to play the game, so I want to have my cake and eat it too, so to speak. Pardon the colloquialism, but I just want to do both, and I don't want to sacrifice one or the other, since I like gaming and my program equally. So if you want to listen to the show, just check my Twitter every Saturday at 8. I tweet out the show every Saturday to support the show. So fortunately I didn't die on this, because I have died on that a couple of times and it frustrated me quite a bit. So we're coming in here now. We're going to have a conversation with the doctor. And sometimes actually it is faster to actually go to the customize screen rather than talk to Courtney. Not only sometimes is she not available, but sometimes she talks way too much and it's faster to go to the customize screen. Anyway, I did want to apologize at the very least for the confusion about the names. So on the bridge you have that guy. Up here you'll have an orange barrier by the house and then these guys standing. It's kind of particular about where you can go, just like at the very beginning of the level. This is a semi-gauntlet, and I'm using the armor breaker here, but I'm telling you guys, I have no advantages with this thing, because these enemies, they still will counter your counter attacks and your parries. So the main issue here is getting hit by the rockets. So if you want to toss phosphorus grenades or EMPs like I'm going to, that's really going to be helpful. So once this enemy is dispatched, like the second he dies, what I would do is I would double tap the left bumper to, or whatever you have for your control scheme. Watch as I do this right here. I'm going to double tap the left bumper. Doesn't matter who's coming from where, because these things, even though they take a few seconds to detonate, they'll usually hit the people we need to hit. Now these guys here with the size, let's see, where are they? I believe those are size. Are they size or machetes? I'm not sure. Regardless, they kill you in one hit. So as much as you might think that I have an advantage because I'm using the armor breaker, I'm telling you, it's not even close to having an advantage, because of the nature of these enemies and their body armor. So I'm right now I'm moving around very it's kind of scared, because I don't know where these enemies are located. So I'm trying to get into corners here, isolate people, and then use the AR mode just to see where people are located. And then after this wave, you're going to have some more cyborgs, I believe, but I am certain of the mastiffs coming up here. So there's a couple of mastiffs. We're going to use the EMP grenades. You want to use your Ripper mode if you have access to it. If you don't, what you want to do is hit until you build up your fuel cells so that you can use the Zandatsu, and then once you successfully extract the spine, you can get refilled in both HP and FC. So I think we have one more guy left. So that was pretty good. I was never able to do this part without automatically using some health in the form of the nano paste. So I used a few, but I'm telling you, I've got stun locked by the guys with the machetes. I think machetes, or whatever they are, you know, just getting completely stun locked and having the game automatically use like 4 med packs for me, or nano pastes. And then after this guy is taken down, you're going to get a checkpoint. That's pretty tough. It really is. So the next part here, after we secure a checkpoint, the first enemy you want to go after is the enemy in that particular dwelling right there. He wields a rocket launcher, and obviously if you go through the front door, he will hear you and see you, and alerts will sound. Ironically though, if you slash away at the door behind him, you can, watch this. It doesn't make any sense really, because you're knocking this stuff down, and yet he doesn't hear you. So take him out, and then in my particular situation, I did get somewhat spotted. I got the caution light on, so what I had to do is go into this corner and quickly use the oil drum. You may have noticed that I didn't have that equipped, but anytime I access the menu in this game, I edit that out for everybody's, just for time convenience. So we're going to wait for these guys to drop down, and one of them down here walks into a wall perpetually, and I'm not sure if the disruption that I caused with the caution light, no, it's another guy. I'm not sure what his story is. He might be depressed. But we're going to take him out. That's just classic right there. And I believe that's the final ground-based foe. And then all we have are some mastiffs on the roofs. Is that even a roof? Roofs? Yeah, roofs. You can pluralize the word roof. So just be careful here. Sometimes, even though you're not at their sight line, sometimes it can be a little bit unfair about them spotting you. But for the tightness of this and the whole hiding mechanic, it works really, really fantastically well. I mean, this is primarily an action game, but they've managed to merge the two genres into just a wonderful game. I think when this game originally came out, and when I was trying to play it, I think it was mainly because of my tastes. I really didn't like stealth at all. I loved action, to be sure, but I didn't really like stealth. And having played a lot of games that have the stealth mechanics in them of late, I've really come to appreciate this title. So we have one guy up there left. Just mind you that you don't have to do these stealthily. You can have the fights if you want to. I mean, if you don't want to go out of your way to kill a final enemy, you can alert him. So I know where this guy is going to end up and where I need to go. But first I want to collect a few things, and secondly I need to get my bearings straight about where I can platform up higher. Our goal is a catwalk, and then we're going to get another checkpoint. A couple of items in here. There is anytime you see one of the more fortified item boxes, I think they're black and blue. Here he is. I was going to come around to this corner anyway because I did this a couple of times. One of the times he saw me. and because I had stealthed everybody else, I just wanted to redo it. So feel free to go around. I'd missed that. Maybe it was just because I think I was probably trying to access the AR mode, but I pressed left or right on the D-pad instead, so my bad. Alright, so coming off that encounter now, we're going to go to the next part of the game, right before the dual boss fight with, what's her name? Mistral, and then Monsoon. And then after that, we'll have a Monsoon boss fight. Oh no, not Sundowner. So in this room here, the other heavily armored Cyclops, oh my god, the other heavily armored cyborg in the other room can see you through this window, so just make sure that you take care of this guy, do your business quick, and then get back into the cardboard box. And there's just 2 more enemies. This guy here, just make sure the one in the other room, his back is turned, and you do this. I do apologize if me using the right analog stick to cut the enemies takes a long time sometimes. I just finished the Monsoon boss fight, and I don't know what the fuck they expect when you're trying to break his shield. So I just kind of avoid it. I don't know what it is. Part of me says to myself, there's no excuses when you make a guide, you should know everything. But it's just not possible to know everything. Plus, a game that's so nuanced as this, and with my reputation about being bad at quick time events to begin with, you know, it's just one of those things. They bother me, so I try to just play the game the way I want to play it. And it really doesn't benefit you to break his shield anyway, because he gets more aggressive, I've read, and he starts parrying you. So the best thing really to do on that boss fight is the defensive offensive. So these guys here, they have the same HP as the other ones that weren't black like them. And the other thing I haven't mentioned about this enemy up until now, not because I'm trying to reveal it, but did you see how that one stomped his heel into the ground and it disrupted the earth? And what you didn't see was, I don't think I had the, what happens is you get a B button prompt whenever you see them get their foot stuck in the ground. If you quickly get over to where they're located and continually tap the B button, you can get that QuickTime button in, which is just one push of the B button, and it will launch you on top of their heads, and then you'll be in a QuickTime event where you're stabbing down on their head. And if your weapon is strong enough, it'll usually put you in blade mode, provided you have enough fuel cells to use blade mode. But that's that enemy. They give you like 3 checkpoints here, and what I don't understand is the lack of giving the player a checkpoint in between the Mistral and the Monsoon. That body double fight where there's supposed to be body doubles of the 2 enemies that we've fought of them before. That a purple radius attack is an EMP attack of sorts. It stuns you, deals damage to you, so you've got to watch out for that. You do have significant iframes when you're doing the pincer attack, which is to have the pincer blades equipped and hold down the Y button, and you could actually move right in with a left analog stick. I did it really quickly right there. Strangely though, if you have the sword equipped when you're doing a charge, you can't move his body with the left analog stick the way you can with the pincer blades. So that's something to consider. But regardless, I keep the lock on held down when I'm doing that, so that it hopefully will target the enemy. It doesn't always. Another huge attack that you can do on enemies for easy damage is just to do the jumping attack with the pincer. And if you want to stay in the air longer with that attack, you just hold down the Y button. It deals the same damage as though you were just jumping. This attack right here, you have iframes in the air. It cuts enemies, whatever is attacking you while you're revolving in the air, you deal damage to. It's such a great move. It can be overused though. I mean, if that's the only thing you wanted to do in this game, you could probably get away with doing that quite a lot, even on many of the bosses. So I'm gonna try to limit my use of it because I know how cheap it can be. But I just don't agree with not giving the player a checkpoint in between that fight. So, oops, I forgot to cut that one out. Sorry about that. But to me, it's the weakest excuse to have these bosses back in the game, that they're body doubles. Even assuming it's a robot game. This is the last checkpoint, by the way. Oh, no. They give you... See this? They give you a checkpoint right here. Then they are going to give you another checkpoint too. I guarantee it, because I've done this. I had to redo this chapter, and this took me a while. And I got pretty intimate with all the checkpoints over here. Speaking of intimacy and dicks, if you go on cinema... If you go on any Cinemassacre video that's been published lately, everybody is talking about Mike's dick. And it's a joke that they never stop talking about on there. And I even had a good one on there. Because I've just been in stitches laughing. I can't stop laughing at the stupidity of these trolls talking about Mike's dick over and over on there. It's so funny because it'll never stop. That guy, I think he should make a video. Like I said, I put a comment on his page. I said, I think Mike should make a video entitled, "Please stop talking about my dick," or "Stop talking about my dick." Because I don't think it's ever going to end, but just saying that facilitates it even more. So I just find it hilarious that these people keep talking about it over and over again. They don't ever seem to stop talking about it. So anyway, I every time they post a new video, it's on my feed. Every time I look on my feed, I go on there and I don't even watch the video. I don't care about the video. Like some of their videos I could do without. But reading those comments is so fun. And I know a lot of people don't really use my guides for guides, and that's regrettable because it's not what I intend them to be. But just because you see somebody playing a game, it doesn't mean you have to start playing that game. You know, people play games at their own whim. So what was I saying about intimacy? Oh yeah, I got pretty intimate with the checkpoints over here. This is the final wave. You have that one. I was going to call him a Cyclops again. You have that one heavily armored Cyclops. Well, you have to forgive me that I was calling the Hammerhead a couple of times, and then you have these sliders, and then you're going to have a couple of gorilla shitters jumping down here. These mastiffs. So just proceed to cut them up. When you're in blade mode and you're slashing, you don't really deal too much damage. It's hardly anything that you're dealing. Now, cutting specific appendages off, well, appendages is a bad word to describe a machine. But like with the Grad, you can cut off some of the blades on him and the rocket. Pretty interesting stuff. So we're coming up here. If you don't have any nano pastes, for instance, you can come here with 0 and keep getting the nano paste by the door over and over and over again. Just get it. Speak to Courtney and or go to the customize menu, leave the customize menu. I don't think if you talk to Courtney once, like, why does the conversation have to keep repeating itself? See, you'll probably see I have 10 in a minute. Yep, see, 10. You could also tell that was an edit point right there. So we're coming in here. I think I'm gonna do it. Oh, I fought her straight up this time, but the fight that I have next is on a different reel of footage. So I came back to this fight, and all I did was that jumping Y attack in the air, because all I wanted to do was just capture the footage of the next boss. And since I already had put my time in with this fucking boss here, I didn't want to just keep doing it and in a skillful way, so I just elected to do the cheap route. So we have an instrumental background this time. If you knew, I think the song is called Stranger or something. The soundtrack for this game is spectacular. I was just listening to it on my phone actually, but they have the instrumental variant of it here, so there's no vocals, and if you need help with this boss fight, just consult my previous the video with her in it, because it's the same exact fight. So I'm not even going to deign to talk about it here, because nothing's changed. In fact, and I'm sorry I'm not talking about it, but if they're going to have this same boss again, why not you just why can't you at least take the goddamn lackeys out of the fight? You know, it's a different arena. It's a clearer, better arena. You have a different variant of the song you used before. Why not just take the goddamn lackeys out of the fight and just have the fight versus her? It would be a really fun fight against her by herself, without having to get these guys jumping on you constantly. And she knows when they jump on you. It seems like she even just uses that as an advantage to hit you and whip you and grab you too. It's so fucking frustrating. I really wish, in every one of their, I just wish they would stop doing that. Platinum Games. And I understand from a lot of their other games that they don't know how to do checkpoints either, or restart from checkpoint feature. So that's pretty worrisome for a company that is so capable of making really high quality games, that they can't get those simple facets right. Bizarre. But we're coming up on the body double of Monsoon. And at least this time, see, they've changed him a little bit. He doesn't speak. Sometimes if you see, the problem was I had the lock-on aimed, I was holding the lock-on, which is right bumper, on my control scheme, and I released that iframes move with the pincer charge, and one time it hit him and it takes away like 20% of his life. So this is also a really good move to do. See, it deals about 15% off his life, and it's probably 15. It's pretty correct. And then, you know, just use your EMPs, and then I wait until he reassembles himself, and then I do a charged pincer attack, and he's less aggressive than he was before, although he can still combo you and stun you to the point where you're consuming many of your med packs. It's pretty exasperating. Like at this point, he goes into this mode here where he goes into this kind of ball and runs across the screen. The camera does a very poor job of keeping up with it. I mean, it's pretty much your responsibility to center the camera, and I don't know how I got that. It was pure luck. But this is just not something I enjoy. I understand they had a limited time to make this game, but I'd rather have nothing in this room than have to fight those two enemies over again. It's not hard, trust me. Oh, did I? Oh shit, I skipped all of that shit? It's just traversal, you guys. You could charge his when he. So we have a bit of a problem there. I lost some of the footage where I was traversing the map, so if you don't know how to get there, you really shouldn't be playing the game. Sorry about that. That I don't mean to patronize anybody, but I'm on a limited time myself, so all you need to be doing here is do the offensive defensive. I don't know how to cut his shield and not take damage, even though X is supposed to be a horizontal slash and Y is supposed to be a horizontal slash. I go into blade mode and I press Y and he does a horizontal slash. It's supposed to be vertical. I don't know what's going on. It's the same with Armstrong for me. I'm not good with QuickTime events and I hate them. I don't feel they should be in games if people don't like them. You know, like Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 did it so well about having the option to just take them off. Some of them are fine, you know, just to confirm things, but when so much is at stake about doing something that requires too much precision, then the game easily affords you. No, homie, don't play that.